Welcome back. Oil workers have threatened to commence a nationwide strike from tomorrow, raising fears of a looming fuel scarcity. Amongst the concerns cited by the umbrella unions of workers is the non-passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill. The National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, and the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association, PENGASSN, say an ultimatum issued to the government has expired. Reports say the petroleum industry workers are also alleging plans by the federal government to sell the country's 4 refineries to private owners. They accuse the federal government of reducing crude allocation to the refineries to almost nothing. And in sports news, we start with football. For the first time since 2011, the Copa Lagos Beach Soccer has a new champion, Côte d'Ivoire. The Ivorians, making their debut in the tournament, defeated Ghana 9-4 to maintain an unbeaten run. The Super Sand Eagles, who lost to Côte d'Ivoire on Saturday, bounced back to finish on a high with a 5-4 victory over Senegal. In the final standings, champions Côte d'Ivoire earned 9 points after winning all their matches. Nigeria finished second with 6 points. Senegal had 3, while Ghana finished at the bottom without a win. It's the first time Nigeria failed to win the tournament since its inception. Nigeria's under-20 national team coach Samson Siasia has concluded the screening for the first batch of foreign-based players invited for exercise at the FIFA Goal Project in Abuja. For players who could not make it because letters of invitation were sent to their respective clubs very late, they're expected to report to camp this week for the second batch screening. After the exercise, the team will reconvene on January the 4th for the final phase of operations before facing Gabon in February. To the English Premier League now, the goals rolled in and the cards piled up at Old Trafford as Manchester United beat Liverpool 3-0 today. The match produced 6 yellow cards, with the first coming in as early as 5 minutes into the game. And 8 minutes later, Wayne Rooney opened scoring before Juan Mata doubled the lead, while Robin van Persie sealed the victory. While the Resurgence United recorded their 6th consecutive win to maintain 3rd place, Liverpool occupy number 10 and trailed the Red Devils by 10 points. Still in the EPL, Christian Eriksen scored a late winner against Swansea City to move Tottenham within 4 points to top 4. The Dane found the net in the 89th minute after Wilfred Bonney had cancelled out Harry Kane's powerful first half header. Spurs now occupy 7th position, 2 places and 2 points above the Swans. The last time Swansea beat Tottenham was in 1982, when John Toshak was in charge. Away from football, Olympic champions Germany have won the 2014 Hockey Champions Trophy just this evening. Goals from Christopher Wesley in the 18th minute and Florian Fruch in the 3rd minute from time were enough to give Germany a superb 2-0 victory over Pakistan. It's the Germans' first title since 2007 and their 10th overall. The bronze medal contest between Australia and India ended in another medal for the World Cup winners, who overcame the host nation to take it 2-1. Some highlights of the Hockey Champions Trophy. IAAF Vice President Sebastian Coe says if the current doping allegations in athletics are true, then it'll be a scandal at par with that which happened around the times of Ben Johnson and Marion Jones' positive drugs test. All the allegations have come from a series of programs made by German television station ARD, and if proven true, they would have serious implications for the sport. Sebastian Coe wants ARD and its journalist Heide Seppelt to give him any more information there is, including the list of names which he suggested may be far from official. Away from sports news now, rescue workers have recovered at least 129 bodies from the Lake Tanganyika in the Democratic Republic of Congo after a ferry capsized on Friday. Some of the ferry's passengers were found in the water today, clinging on to petrol cans and other floatable objects. Such accidents are said to be quite common in the region, consistently overloading ferries, while life jackets are also often unavailable. Officials in Katanga province blamed the capsizing of MV Mutumbala on strong winds and overloading. Several women and children were among the victims in the disaster, which happened in the early hours of Friday morning. The Provincial Minister for Transport, Laurent Sumba Kahozi, said the number of survivors stands at 232, mostly men, while the search for more survivors continues. Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir has hailed the International Criminal Court's decision to halt its investigations into alleged war crimes against him, saying the court had failed in its attempts to humiliate his country. The ICC had charged Omar al-Bashir in 2009 for crimes in the western region dating back to 2003, where the government has been trying to crush an insurgency. ICC prosecutor Fatou Bensouda says she was halting investigations to shift resources to other urgent cases, and she criticized the UN for failing to secure Bashir's arrest. Exit polls at Japan's elections shown that Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's ruling coalition has secured a large majority in the country's parliamentary elections. Mr. Abe had called the election in order to obtain a fresh mandate, which will enable him to continue his economic reform. Prime Minister Abe was elected in 2012 and since being in power has tried to revive the country's economy by raising public spending and printing money. Haiti's Prime Minister Laurent Lamotte has resigned following violent anti-government protest over delayed elections. In a televised address, he said, quote, "I am leaving the post of Prime Minister this evening with a feeling of accomplishment," end of quote. Protesters had called for President Michel Martelly and Mr. Lamotte to resign over polls which the president was meant to call in 2011, but postponed in a statement over electoral law. Opposition politicians in the country had accused the government of wanting to rule by decree, and also that the legislation meant to authorize the vote unfairly favors the government. About 194 United Nations members have reached an agreement on how to tackle climate change. Delegates to the Climate Change Conference, who have been in talks in Lima, that's in Peru, for almost 2 weeks, have approved a framework for setting national pledges. Under the New Deal, government will submit national plans for controlling greenhouse gas emissions by an informal deadline of March the 31st, 2015, to form the basis of a global agreement due to a summit in Paris next year. Away from the foreign scene, back here in Nigeria, in a few weeks from now, Nigerians will be going to the polls to elect different people that will represent them at various levels of government for the next 4 years. The General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, has therefore advised Nigerians to pick up their voter cards at the various local government areas offices and ensure that they do vote in the 2015 polls. Also adding her voice, the Lagos State First Lady, Mrs. Abimbola Fashola, asked the youth not to allow politicians to use them for their own selfish ends.
Millions of worshippers, including traditional rulers, government officials, parents, clergymen and women, the elderly and youth, all gathered for an all-night program to celebrate Jesus in a festival-like atmosphere at the Redemption Camp, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. The program, which was a week-long event, enabled many Nigerians from all walks of life to appreciate God's goodness, mercy and love for the nation, and a program which was tagged the Great Shepherd. Special prayers for the peace of the country were led by the wife of the General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Fuluke Adeboye. Then came the message from the General Overseer, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, who asked all Nigerians to ensure that they vote in the right candidates in the 2015 general polls. After the service, some prominent Nigerians, including the wife of Lagos State Governor, Mrs. Abimbola Fashola, advised the youths to guard themselves from being used by politicians as thugs.
Shun violence. Anyone who comes to you to say this, you should disrupt or steal the ballot box or do anything, you know that person does not wish you well and does not wish Nigeria well.
Everyone else seems to agree with the Lagos State First Lady. But it was the clarion call to come out and vote in candidates who will take the country to the next level and shunning of pre- and post-election violence that the participants had uppermost on their minds.
And the main news again. West African leaders are to meet in Abuja tomorrow to discuss on how to deliberate on the current political and security situations in the region. The meeting is part of efforts by the heads of state and governments to strengthen security amongst ECOWAS countries following the recent upsurge in insurgency. Warring groups in Nasarawa State have agreed to embrace peace, ending over 2 months of ethnic clashes. The end to the violence, according to Governor Tanko Al-Makura, has been made possible by the state government's homegrown peace mechanism. And at least 129 bodies have been recovered from the Lake Tanganyika after a ferry capsized in the Democratic Republic of Congo. That is it on the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. From all of us here, do have a good night.